Amara Johnson had been in love with Kang Min-jae for exactly 4 months and 17 days. Not that she had been counting. She had been working in the Kang mansion for 6 months total. But it had taken her exactly 6 weeks and 2 days before she admitted to herself what was happening. Before she acknowledged that the way her heart raced when she heard his footsteps in the hallway was not normal. That the way she found excuses to walk past his office was pathetic. That she was completely, hopelessly infatuated with a man who had never once looked at her as anything more than part of the furniture. It was insane. She knew it was insane. Kang Min-jae was a Korean mafia, organized crime, the kind of danger that made grown men nervous. She had seen the way people acted around him, the immediate deference, the fear barely hidden behind respectful bows, the tension that filled any room he entered. She was a maid. She cleaned guest rooms and hallways on the 2nd floor. She made decent money, lived in staff quarters, and sent most of her paycheck home to her mother in Georgia. Her life was small, controlled, and predictable. And yet, she thought about him constantly, obsessively, in ways that made her feel like a teenager with a crush instead of a 28-year-old woman who should know better. She had memorized his schedule, knew he woke at 5 a.m. and worked out in the home gym for exactly 1 hour, knew he took his coffee black with no sugar, knew he preferred the office on the 2nd floor over the larger one on the 1st, knew the sound of his footsteps, confident, unhurried, the click of expensive shoes on marble floors. She knew he wore Tom Ford suits in charcoal and navy, knew his cologne was something expensive and subtle that lingered in hallways after he passed, knew he spoke Korean on the phone in a voice that was deeper and rougher than when he spoke English. She knew all of this because she paid attention in ways that would horrify her if anyone found out. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, she cleaned the 2nd floor hallway between 10 and 11 a.m. His office was on that floor. If she timed it right, if she worked slowly enough, she could sometimes see him walk past. Could watch the way he moved, all controlled power and unconscious grace. Could feel her heart stutter in her chest like something broken. She had entire fantasies built in her head. Ridiculous, impossible scenarios where he would notice her. Where he would look at her and see someone worth his attention. Where those cold, dark eyes would warm when they landed on her face. In her fantasies, he would stop her in the hallway, would ask her name even though he had never bothered to learn it, would see something in her that made her different from every other member of staff who blended into the background. In her fantasies, he would touch her. Just once. A hand on her arm, fingers brushing hers when he handed her something. Any contact that proved she was real to him, that she existed as more than invisible help. The fantasies were elaborate and pathetic in equal measure. Sometimes she imagined he would call her to his office for some reason, would notice the way she looked at him, and instead of being angry, he would be interested, would move closer, would touch her face and tell her he had noticed her too, had been watching her the same way she watched him. Sometimes she imagined emergencies, situations where she would somehow save him or help him, and he would see her as valuable. Would pull her close in relief, and she would feel what it was like to be held by someone that powerful. Sometimes, late at night in her small room, she imagined things she would never admit out loud. His hands on her body, his mouth on her skin, his voice in her ear telling her she was beautiful, desirable, worth wanting. It was pathetic, delusional. The fantasies of someone who had built an entire relationship in her head with a man who did not know she existed, but she could not stop. Every Tuesday and Thursday, she would position herself in the hallway at the right time, would slow her cleaning just enough to catch a glimpse of him, would feel her pulse race when he walked past without looking at her, without acknowledging her presence at all. Once, he had walked past close enough that she could feel the heat from his body. Close enough that his cologne made her dizzy. Close enough that if she had been brave, if she had been someone different, she could have reached out and touched him. She had not, of course. Had just pressed herself against the wall and tried to remember how to breathe while he passed without sparing her a single glance. That night, she had touched herself thinking about him, imagining what it would feel like if he had noticed her, if he had stopped, if he had pushed her against that wall and looked at her like she was something he wanted. It was sick. She knew it was sick, but she could not stop wanting him. She had learned other things too, things she picked up from the other staff members who had worked in the mansion longer. He had a younger brother, Jiwoo, who visited occasionally. The staff did not like Jiwoo, said he was arrogant, entitled, and treated them poorly. But Min-jae was different. Cold, yes. Distant, but never cruel to staff, never deliberately unkind. He had been engaged once, years ago, to a woman from another crime family. The engagement had ended badly. No one would tell her why. He slept poorly. Mrs. Park, the head housekeeper, said she often saw lights on in his private rooms well past midnight. He was important, powerful, the kind of man who controlled things most people did not want to think about. And Amara was hopelessly, stupidly in love with him. 4 months and 17 days of building fantasies, of watching from a distance, of wanting something she would never have. She told herself it was harmless, that as long as she never acted on it, as long as she kept it private and controlled, there was no harm in wanting him, in imagining what it might be like if he ever noticed her. On Wednesday afternoon, Mrs. Park had asked her to clean the boss's office the next day because the maid in charge had called in sick. It would be Amara's first time cleaning his private office in 6 months of working there. She had said yes immediately, heart racing at the thought of being in his space, touching his things, breathing air he had breathed. It felt like a gift she had not earned. But tragedy was lurking and would strike days after this big win she had just gotten. On the morning that changed everything, Amara had been having one of her detailed fantasies. She was cleaning the hallway as usual, moving slowly, hoping to catch a glimpse of him. And in her head, she was playing out a scenario where he would stop this time, where he would look at her, and something would shift in his expression, where he would say her name, except he did not know her name, so in the fantasy she imagined telling him and watching him repeat it. She was so lost in the fantasy that she did not notice Mrs. Park approaching until the older woman touched her arm. Amara startled, heat flooding her face like she had been caught doing something wrong. "Mr. Kang wants to see you," Mrs. Park said. Her expression was strange, worried. Amara's heart stopped, then started again, hammering. "What?" "Now, in his office. Something about—" Mrs. Park hesitated. "Something is missing. He wants to speak with you." The fantasy shattered. Reality crashed down. He wanted to see her, but not for any of the reasons she had imagined. Something was missing. Something was wrong. Amara followed Mrs. Park on shaking legs, her mind racing. What could be missing? What could this possibly be about? At his office door, Mrs. Park stopped. "Good luck," she said quietly. Then she knocked. "Enter." The voice was deep, cold, and completely unfamiliar with her existence. Amara pushed the door open. And for the first time in 6 months, Kang Min-jae looked directly at her. The office was exactly as she had imagined it from the brief glimpses she had caught through the open door. Massive mahogany desk, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the grounds, expensive art on the walls, everything dark and masculine and reeking of power. And behind the desk, Kang Min-jae, He was even more devastating up close. Sharp jawline, dark eyes that cut right through her, perfectly styled hair. He wore a charcoal suit with the jacket off. Sleeves rolled to his elbows, exposing forearms that made her mouth go dry. This was wrong. She should not be noticing these things. Should not be cataloging the way his throat moved when he swallowed, the way his fingers drummed once against the desk. Two large men in dark suits stood flanking him. Security. "Close the door," he said. His voice. God, his voice. She had heard it from a distance, but never directed at her. It was deeper than she had imagined. Rougher. She closed the door with trembling hands. "Come here." She moved forward until she stood in front of his desk. Her legs felt weak. He studied her for a long moment. His gaze moved over her face, down her body, back up. Clinical, assessing. Like she was something he was evaluating for purchase. "What is your name?" The question hit her hard. 6 months of working here, and he did not even know her name. "Amara Johnson, sir." "How long have you worked here, Amara Johnson?" The way he said her name made heat pool low in her stomach. Focus. This was not a fantasy. This was real, and something was wrong. 6 months, sir. And what are your responsibilities?" "I clean the second-floor guest rooms and hallways." "Which includes the hallway outside this office?" "Yes, sir." "You cleaned this office 2 days ago." It was not a question, but she answered anyway. "Yes, sir. I cleaned from 4 to 6 p.m. He leaned back in his chair, still watching her with that unsettling intensity. "A USB drive is missing from my desk. It contained sensitive information, very sensitive. The kind of information that could destroy me if it ended up in the wrong hands." Her stomach dropped. "I did not take anything." "You were in here during the window when the drive went missing. I would never steal from you. Everyone says that. Everyone claims innocence." His voice was flat, cold. "But someone took that drive, and right now, you are the most likely suspect. For years I've worked with different maids, and I have never had to deal with theft. The one time you were asked to fill in, you stole from me." One of the security men stepped forward, said something in rapid Korean. Kang Min-jae responded in the same language, sharp and quick. Then he stood and moved around the desk. Amara's breath caught. He was tall. She had known he was tall, but up close it was different. He towered over her, close enough that she could smell his cologne, close enough that if she swayed forward even an inch, she would touch him. "Look at me." She had been staring at his chest. She forced her gaze up to his face. His eyes were cold, dark. Nothing like the warm interest she had imagined in her fantasies. "I am going to ask you one more time. Did you take the USB drive from my office?" "No, sir, I did not." "Then you will not mind if we search your room?" "No, sir. You will not find anything because I did not take it." He studied her face for a long moment, then gestured to one of the security men, who left the room. They stood in silence. He was watching her. She was trying not to shake. This close, she could see details she had never noticed from a distance. A small scar above his left eyebrow. The way his jaw tensed and relaxed. The hollow of his throat where his pulse beat steady and calm while hers raced out of control. "You are scared," he observed. "Yes, sir." "Good. You should be. If you took that drive, if you are lying to me, what happens next will be very unpleasant for you." "I am not lying. We will see." 20 minutes later, the security guard returned. Spoke to Kang Min-jae in Korean again. "They found nothing in your room," he said. "Which proves nothing. You could have hidden it elsewhere, given it to someone outside the house. I would not. Sit. He gestured to the chair in front of his desk. She sat. He remained standing, looking down at her. The position was deliberately intimidating, designed to make her feel small. It worked. Tell me about yourself. Where are you from? Atlanta originally. I moved to New York 2 years ago. Family? My mother is in Georgia. My father passed when I was young. You send money home. It was not a question. He had clearly already investigated her finances. Yes, sir. My mother has medical expenses. So you need money. She understood what he was implying. Not enough to steal from you. Everyone has a price. Not for something like this. Not for something that could get me killed. His eyebrow raised slightly. You think I would kill you? I think you are capable of it. Smart girl. He moved closer, leaned against the desk, directly in front of her chair. Here is what is going to happen. You are going to answer my questions, all of them, honestly. And if I believe you are lying, if I think for 1 second you are hiding something, this conversation will become very different. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Good. He crossed his arms. Walk me through yesterday afternoon, every detail. Where you were, what you cleaned, what you saw. She walked him through it. The guest rooms first, then the hallway, then his office. Dusting, vacuuming, and emptying trash. She had finished at 6 p.m., returned the cleaning supplies to the storage closet, and gone back to her room. Did you see anyone else on this floor? Yes. Mrs. Park. Your brother was also here briefly. His expression changed slightly. My brother was on this floor? Yes, sir, around 5:30. I saw him go into the office at the end of the hall. Which office? I do not know what it is used for. The corner office with the tall windows. He was quiet for a moment. Then, did you speak to him? No, sir. I just saw him pass by. She answered everything honestly, quietly. Her voice was barely above a whisper because she was terrified of saying the wrong thing. Finally, he seemed satisfied, or at least out of question. You can go, he said, but you do not leave this property. You make yourself available if I have more questions, and if I find out you lied to me about anything, you will regret it. Yes, sir. She stood to leave. Amara. She turned back. He was watching her with an expression she could not read. I will find out who took that drive. And when I do, if it was you, being scared now will seem like nothing compared to what comes next. She left on shaking legs, her heart pounding. Back in her room, she sat on her bed and tried to process what had just happened. She had been in his office, had stood close enough to touch him, had heard him say her name. None of it was the way she had imagined. He had looked at her with suspicion and coldness and nothing else, had threatened her, had made it clear she was a suspect in a theft that could get her killed. And yet, some sick part of her could not stop replaying the moment when he had stood close to her, when his eyes had moved over her face, when he had said her name. She was definitely losing her mind. They came for her again the next morning. Security knocked on her door at 6 a.m. and told her Mr. Kang wanted to see her immediately. She followed them to his office with her heart in her throat. He was alone this time, standing by the window, looking out at the grounds. He did not turn when she entered. Sit. She sat in the same chair as yesterday. The silence stretched. He just stood there, staring out the window, hands in his pockets. Finally, he turned. He looked tired, like he had not slept. His hair was less perfectly styled. His shirt was wrinkled. There was something different in his expression. Frustration, maybe. I reviewed security footage, he said. All of it. From every camera in this house for the past 48 hours. Her pulse quickened. You were telling the truth about yesterday. The footage shows exactly what you described. You cleaned the hallway, you were in my office, but you never picked up or hid anything that was not trash. You went back to your quarters at 6 p.m. and did not leave until this morning. Relief flooded through her. So you know I did not take it. I know you did not take it during that specific window. But that does not prove you were not involved. He moved to his desk, pulled up something on his laptop, and turned it to face her. This is from 3 nights ago. 3 a.m. Someone enters my office. The angle does not show their face clearly, but the body type matches yours. She leaned forward, looked at the grainy footage. A figure in dark clothing moving quickly through his office. That is not me. I was asleep at 3 a.m. Can you prove that? No, I was alone in my room. Convenient. I am telling the truth. Her voice came out louder than intended, desperate. He studied her for a long moment. Then, I want to believe you. The admission surprised her. But, she whispered, but I have been betrayed before. By people I trusted. By people who seemed innocent. And I cannot afford to be wrong about this. That drive contains information that could destroy everything I have built. I understand. But I did not take it. I would not even know what to do with that kind of information. You could sell it. My competitors would pay well. I would not know how to contact your competitors. I clean hallways. I do not know anything about your business. He sighed, ran a hand through his hair. The gesture made him look younger, more human. I have been questioning everyone with access to this. Floor, he said. Staff, security, associates. No one admits to seeing anything unusual. No one has answers that help. What about your brother? The question came out before she could stop it. His gaze sharpened. What about him? I saw him on this floor, around the time the drive went missing. And last night I heard some of the staff talking. They said... She hesitated. They said what? That he has been acting strangely lately. Stressed. That he is asked to borrow money from some of the security team. Kang Min-jae's jaw tightened. My brother would not steal from me. I am not accusing him. I am just telling you what I heard. My brother has his flaws, but he is family. He knows the consequences of betraying me would be severe. She said nothing, but something in her expression must have shown doubt. You do not believe me, he said. I do not know enough to have an opinion. But if you are investigating everyone with access, should that not include family? He moved closer, too close. She could feel the heat from his body, could smell his cologne mixing with something else. Exhaustion, maybe. Stress. You are very bold for someone I could have killed for this. Her breath caught. Are you going to kill me? I have not decided yet. The words should have terrified her. Instead, they did something else. Made her pulse race for different reasons. Made her hyper-aware of how close he was standing. How, if she leaned forward even slightly, she would touch him. Amara called herself to order. This was not a fantasy. This was dangerous. I could help you, she heard herself say. Help me how? Find the real thief. I could ask questions. Staff talk to me in ways they might not talk to you or security. I could find out if anyone saw something unusual, if anyone knows anything. And why would you do that? Because I want my name cleared. I want you to stop looking at me like I am a criminal. Because... She took a breath. Because if I help you find the real thief, maybe you will believe I had nothing to do with this. He studied her face, close enough that she could see the exact shade of brown in his eyes. close enough to see the way his gaze dropped briefly to her mouth before returning to her eyes. "What do you want in return?" he asked quietly. "For you to stop investigating me, to publicly clear my name with the staff, and—" She hesitated. "To not torture me or lock me up while I help." His mouth curved into something that was not quite a smile. "You think I was going to torture you? I do not know what you were going to do, but I would prefer not to find out." Smart. He stepped back, creating distance between them. "Fine. You have 2 weeks to find me information. Real information, not speculation. If you help me find the thief, I will clear your name completely. If you fail, or if I find out you are lying to me, the consequences will be severe. Do you accept those terms?" "Yes." "Then we have a deal." He moved back to his desk. "You can go, but Amara." She paused at the door. "Do not make me regret this. I do not handle betrayal well." She left before her shaking legs could give out. Back in the hallway, she pressed her hand to her chest, trying to slow her racing heart. She had just made a deal with a crime lord. But for odd reasons, some sick, twisted part of her could not stop replaying the moment when his eyes had dropped to her mouth. The way he had looked at her like he was thinking about something other than missing USB drives. She was definitely insane. But she had 2 weeks to prove her innocence. 2 weeks of having a reason to interact with him instead of just watching from a distance. It was pathetic how much that thought thrilled her. Amara started her investigation immediately. She began with Mrs. Park, who had worked in the mansion for 15 years and knew everything that happened within these walls. They were in the staff kitchen, preparing breakfast for the household. Amara helped chop vegetables while asking careful questions. "Mrs. Park, has anyone been acting strangely lately? Any of the staff?" The older woman looked at her sharply. "Why you ask?" "Mr. Kang asked me to help figure out who took something from his office. I am trying to help." Mrs. Park was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Mr. Jiwoo. He comes here late at night sometimes. Very late. 3, 4 in the morning. I see him when I cannot sleep." "What does he do?" "I do not know. But he looks nervous, like he is doing something he should not be doing." "Has he always come this late?" "No, only past few months. And he asks strange questions. About Mr. Kang's schedules, about when Mr. Kang will not be home." Amara filed this information away. "Anyone else?" "Chen, head of security. He has been very tense lately, stressed. But maybe that is because of the missing drive." Over the next few days, Amara talked to everyone she could, the other maids, the kitchen staff, the security guards who were willing to speak with her. A picture began to form. Jiwoo had been visiting more frequently over the past 2 months, always at odd hours, always seeming nervous or stressed. He had been seen in parts of the mansion he normally did not visit. He had asked one of the maids about Mr. Kang's schedule, had asked another about which rooms had security cameras. And 3 days before the drive went missing, he had been heard arguing with someone on the phone in Korean. The maid who overheard did not speak Korean well, but she caught a few words. Money. Debt. Need more time. Amara compiled everything carefully. Every morning, she was summoned to Kang Min-jae's office to report her progress. The meetings were torture in ways she had not anticipated. He would sit behind his desk. She would stand or sit across from him, and she would tell him what she had found, while trying not to notice the way his fingers drummed against the desktop, the way his jaw tensed when she mentioned his brother, the way his eyes focused on her with an intensity that made her skin feel too hot. "This is all speculation," he said after her third report. "None of this is proof." "I know. But it is a pattern. Your brother has been acting strangely for months. He has been asking questions about your schedule and security. He has money problems based on that overheard phone conversation. He is my brother. He has access to this house. He is allowed to ask questions. But does he normally? Does he normally come at 3 in the morning? Does he normally ask about security cameras? Kang Min-jae's expression was hard. You are trying to pin this on him because it is convenient? I am trying to follow the evidence. The evidence is circumstantial at best. You have nothing concrete? She bit her lip. Frustration built in her chest. Then let me keep investigating. Give me more time. You have already had a week. I am starting to think you are wasting my time because you do not actually have any real information. I am doing my best. Your best is not good enough. He stood, moved around the desk. Maybe I was wrong to trust you with this. Maybe I should go back to my original plan and have security handle you properly. Fear spiked through her. Please, just give me a few more days. I know I am getting close to something. He stopped directly in front of her chair, looking down at her with cold eyes. Why should I believe you? Because I have no reason to lie. I just want my name cleared, and I am trying to help you. Or you are trying to deflect suspicion. Make me focus on my brother instead of you. That is not what I am doing. Then prove it. Give me something concrete. Not speculation about my brother being in the house at odd hours. Real proof. She stared up at him, trying not to shake. He was so close, towering over her, looking at her with an expression that was cold and hard and somehow still made her pulse race. I will get you proof, she said, quietly. Just please do not give up on me yet. Something flickered in his expression. You have 3 more days, he said. After that, if you have nothing, we are done. He walked back to his desk, dismissing her. Amara walked out, feeling frustrated, scared, and bizarrely thrilled that she had 3 more days. 3 more mornings of being summoned to his office. 3 more chances to be close to him. She was definitely sick. That night, Amara could not sleep. She kept thinking about the case, about the evidence she had gathered, about how to get actual proof. At 2 a.m., she gave up on sleep and got dressed. She would walk through the mansion, think, maybe notice something she had missed. She was on the 2nd floor when she heard voices coming from the direction of Kang Min-jae's office. She moved closer and pressed herself against the wall. There were 2 voices. One was definitely Ji-woo. The other, she was not sure. She could not make out the words. They were speaking Korean, but the tone was clear, tense, arguing. Then she heard footsteps coming toward her. She panicked and looked for somewhere to hide. She soon found an alcove with a decorative vase. She pressed herself into the shadows. Ji-woo walked past, his face visible in the dim hallway lighting. He looked stressed, angry. His hands were shaking. Another man followed, someone she did not recognize. Tall, wearing an expensive suit. He looked dangerous. Ji-woo's phone buzzed, and he stopped to check it, with the screen lighting hitting his face from below. In that moment of stillness, something made him look up. His eyes swept the hallway and landed on the alcove. On her. Amara stopped breathing. For 3 seconds, maybe 4, they stared at each other. His expression was completely unreadable in the half-light. Then his phone buzzed again. He looked down at it and said something to the man beside him. They kept walking until they disappeared around the corner. Amara stayed frozen, her pulse roaring in her ears. Had he seen her? The way he had looked toward the alcove, the pause. Or had he just been checking the hallway, making sure they were alone, and looked right past her, hidden in shadow? She did not know. but she waited until she could not hear their footsteps anymore. Then she carefully made her way back to her room. Her heart was pounding. Ji-woo had been meeting with someone. At 2 a.m. in the mansion. Someone who did not belong here. This was something. This was proof that something strange was happening. She just needed to figure out what. The next morning, she reported what she had seen. Kang Min-jae's expression went cold. "You saw my brother with someone you did not recognize?" "Yes." They were arguing. I could not hear what they were saying, but it seemed serious. "What did this man look like?" She described him. Tall, maybe 40, expensive suit, Korean, something about his face that made her think he was used to violence. Kang Min-jae's jaw clenched. That sounds like Kim Sung-ho. He works for a rival organization. Why would your brother be meeting with him? I do not know, but I intend to find out. He stood. You are done investigating. This has become too dangerous. If my brother is involved with our rivals, if he is selling information, he will not hesitate to hurt anyone who gets in his way. But I can still help. No. You have given me enough to start my own investigation. You stay away from this now. Please, I need to clear my name. Your name is cleared. As far as I am concerned, you have proven you are not involved. The deal we made is complete. Now stay out of this before you get hurt. He was dismissing her, telling her she was done. She should be relieved. She had cleared her name. She was safe. Instead, she felt disappointed. These past 10 days had been the most alive she had felt in months. Having a reason to see him every morning, having his attention, even if it was cold and suspicious, having a purpose beyond cleaning hallways. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for believing me." He looked at her for a long moment. Something shifted in his expression, something she could not name. "Go," he said, "and be careful. If my brother realizes you are investigating him, he may see you as a threat." She left, her chest aching. It was done. She was cleared. She should be happy, but all she felt was empty. 3 days passed, and Amara went back to her regular work, cleaning guest rooms, staying invisible, trying not to think about Kang Min-jae. It did not work. She found herself still timing her hallway cleaning to coincide with when he might pass by, still listening for his footsteps, still pathetically hoping for a glimpse of him. On the 3rd day, Mrs. Park came to find her. "Mr. Kang wants to see you." Her heart jumped. Why? I do not know, but he looks angry. She followed Mrs. Park to his office with growing dread. When she entered, Kang Min-jae was behind his desk. But he was not alone. Ji-woo was there, looking smug, and Chen, the head of security. "Sit," Kang Min-jae said. His voice was cold. She sat, her stomach twisting. "My brother has brought something to my attention," he said. "Information that suggests you have been lying to me." "What? No, I have not." "He has evidence that you were seen meeting with someone outside the property. Someone connected to our rivals." Her mouth went dry. "That is not true. I have not left the property except to..." "Except to what?" Ji-woo cut in. His voice was sharp, satisfied. "To meet with your contact? To pass them information about my brother's business?" "I did not meet with anyone. I have been here, working, exactly as I have, for 6 months. Ji-woo pulled out his phone and showed Kang Min-jae something. Security footage from the convenience store 3 blocks away, dated 4 days ago. That is her, meeting with someone who works for the Kim organization. Amara's mind raced. 4 days ago, she had walked to the convenience store to buy toiletries. She had talked briefly with the clerk, who had been friendly. Nothing more. The clerk at that store is friendly with everyone, she said desperately. I bought shampoo and we talked about the weather. That is all. The clerk is the nephew of Kim Sung-ho, Ji-woo said smoothly. The same man I was supposedly seen meeting with. Convenient that you were investigating me and suddenly there is this footage. That is not... I did not know who he was. I just needed shampoo. Convenient, Ji-woo repeated. You accuse me of stealing to deflect attention. You create this story about me meeting with rivals, all while you are the one actually working with them. That is not true. She turned to Kang Min-jae. I did not know who that clerk was. I have never worked with your rivals. Everything I told you about your brother was true. Was it? Kang Min-jae's voice was cold, colder than she had ever heard it. Or did you feed me lies to turn me against my own family? I told you the truth. I saw him meeting someone. I heard the arguments. The other staff saw. The other staff could have been influenced by you, told what to say. You had access to everyone in this house while you were investigating. He stood, moved around the desk. I trusted you. I believed you when you said you wanted to help, and all along you were working with my enemies. No, please, you have to believe me. I do not have to believe anything. The evidence speaks for itself. What evidence? That I talked to a clerk? That is not evidence of anything. It is when combined with everything else. Your desperation to deflect blame, your accusations against my brother, your convenient information that turned my attention exactly where my enemies would want it. She felt tears burning her eyes. Please, I know how this looks, but I swear I am innocent. Enough. His voice cut through her pleas. Get her out of my sight. Put her somewhere secure until I decide what to do with her. Chen moved forward. No, please, just listen to me. I said enough. The shout made her flinch. She had never heard him raise his voice before. Chen grabbed her arm and started pulling her toward the door. Please, she said one more time, looking back at Kang Min-jae. I did not betray you. Everything I said was true. Your brother is lying. But he had already turned away. Amara was locked away in a room on the 3rd floor. All she had was a bed, a chair, and a window she could not open. She sat on the bed and finally let herself cry. This was not how it was supposed to go. She had helped him, had given him information, had tried to prove her loyalty. And now she was locked up and accused of being a traitor, facing consequences she did not want to imagine. Because Ji-woo had outmaneuvered her, had created evidence that made her look guilty, had turned his brother against her. She should have seen it coming. Should have realized Ji-woo would not just let her expose him without fighting back. Hours passed and no one came for her. Amara laid on the bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out how to get out of this. But there was no way out. No proof of her innocence. No way to make Kang Min-jae believe her. She had failed, and now she would pay for it. Night fell, and still, no one came. She was starting to panic, starting to wonder what they would do with her, starting to imagine scenarios that made her stomach turn. At midnight, she heard the lock click. The door opened. Kang Min-jae stood there, alone. His expression was unreadable. Come with me, he said. She followed him down the hallway, down the stairs, to his office. He closed the door behind them. Then he just stood there, looking at her. I reviewed the convenience store footage, he said finally. Frame by frame. You walked in, bought items, had a brief conversation with the clerk, and left. Nothing about your body language suggested you were passing information or receiving instructions. You looked like someone buying shampoo. For the first time that day, Amara had a spark of hope. So you believe me? I do not know what to believe. My brother insists you are working with our rivals. The evidence he provided is circumstantial but plausible. But, he paused, something does not add up. What? If you were really working with our rivals, you would have been more careful. You would not have bought toiletries from a store connected to them. You would not have drawn attention to yourself by investigating my brother so openly. You would have been subtle, careful. His eyes met hers. You are many things, but subtle is not one of them. She did not know if that was an insult or a compliment. I am telling the truth, she said quietly. Everything I told you about your brother was real. He is the one working with your rivals. He is the one who took the drive. And he is trying to frame me because I got too close to exposing him. You have no proof of that. I know what I saw. I know what the staff told me. I know. You know nothing. Kang Min-jae moved closer. Do you understand what you are asking me to do? You are asking me to believe a maid I barely know over my own brother, to turn against family based on your word. I am asking you to investigate properly, to look at the real evidence instead of just believing what he tells you. And if I do that, if I investigate my brother and find out he is innocent, what then? You will have destroyed my family relationship for nothing. And if you do not investigate and he is guilty, what then? He gets away with betraying you. He sells your information to your enemies. He destroys everything you have built. They stared at each other. The tension between them was suffocating. Why do you care so much? He asked quietly. Why risk yourself for this? You cleared your name. You could have walked away, could have let me deal with my brother on my own. But you kept pushing. Why? Because I love you. Because I have loved you for months. Because I cannot stand seeing you betrayed by someone you trust. She could not say any of that. Because it is the right thing to do, she said instead. The right thing to do. He laughed, humorless. You still believe in things like that? Even now? Even after everything? Yes. Then you are a fool. The word stung. He moved closer, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. You want to know what I think? His voice was low, dangerous. I think you have some fantasy in your head. Some idea that if you help me, if you prove yourself useful, I will see you differently. I will notice you. Maybe I will even want you. Heat flooded her face. He knew. Somehow, he knew about her pathetic fantasies. That is it not? His hand came up, fingers tilting her chin up. I have seen the way you look at me when you think I do not notice. The way you find excuses to be near me. The way your breath catches when I stand too close. You think I'm blind? She could not speak, could not breathe. You have some romantic delusion about me? He continued. His thumb brushed across her lower lip, sending electricity through her body. You think if you prove yourself, if you help me, I will suddenly see you as something other than staff. Something worth wanting. Please what? Please tell you I have noticed you too. That I have seen you watching me. That I know exactly what you are thinking when you look at me like that? His mouth was inches from hers. His hand was still cupping her face, and his body heat was overwhelming. You want me to tell you I have thought about you too? His voice was rough now. That I have imagined what it would be like to touch you. To hear you say my name. To have you look at me with something other than fear. Stop, she whispered. Why? Because it scares you? You are finally getting what you wanted. And you realize it is not the fantasy you built in your head, right? He was right. This was nothing like her fantasies. There was no warmth in his eyes, no affection, Just cold calculation and something darker. I am going to tell you the truth, he said. And you are going to listen. Yes, I have noticed you. Yes, I have thought about you. But not because you are special or because we have some connection. Because you are beautiful and I am a man, and sometimes I think about beautiful women. That is all it is. It's all physical, meaningless. Nothing like whatever romance you have built in your head. Each word was designed to hurt, to destroy whatever hope she had been stupid enough to carry. So here is what happens next, he continued. I am going to investigate my brother. Properly, thoroughly. If you are right, if he is the thief, I will deal with him appropriately. If you are wrong, if you have wasted my time and damaged my relationship with my family, you will pay for it. Either way, after this is done, you leave. You take a severance package and you disappear from my life. Because I do not need the complication of having you here, of seeing you look at me with those pathetic, hopeful eyes, of dealing with whatever delusion you have about us. Understand? She nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks. Good. He released her face, stepped back. Now get out. Go back to your room. Wait for my decision. She turned toward the door. Amara. She paused. For what it is worth, if things were different, if I was different, maybe. He paused. It does not matter. Things are what they are. Do not waste your time hoping for more. She left without responding. Back in her room, she curled up on the bed and cried until she had no tears left. He had seen right through her, had known about her fantasies, her pathetic longing, everything. And he had used it to hurt her, to make sure she understood exactly how little she meant to him. She should hate him for it. Instead, she just felt broken. Amara stayed in her room for 2 days, waiting. Mrs. Park brought her meals but would not tell her what was happening. On the 3rd day, the door opened. Chen stood there. His expression was grim. Mr. Kang wants to see you. Her stomach dropped. This was it. Whatever he had decided about her, she was about to find out. She followed Chen to the office. Kang Min-jae was there. So was Ji-woo, flanked by 2 security guards. Ji-woo's hands were zip-tied behind his back. His face was bruised. Sit, Kang Min-jae said to her. She sat, her heart pounding. Tell her, Kang Min-jae said to his brother. Ji-woo glared at her, said nothing. Tell her. The shout made everyone in the room flinch. Fine, Ji-woo spat. I took the drive. I sold the information to the Kim organization. I created the evidence against her to deflect suspicion. Happy? Amara's breath left her lungs. Why? She whispered. Because I needed money. My brother controls everything and gives me nothing. I am tired of being second, of being irrelevant. Ji-woo's expression was twisted with bitterness. I thought I was smart enough to get away with it. Thought framing you would be easy. But apparently you are smarter than you look. Kang Min-jae's expression was cold, hard. Get him out of my sight. Chen and the guards dragged Ji-woo from the room. Then they were alone. The silence stretched between them. You were right, Kang Min-jae said finally. His voice was flat. About everything. My brother was the thief. He had been working with our rivals for months. He sold them information that has already cost me 3 operations and a lot of money. And he tried to frame you to protect himself. I am sorry, she said quietly. Sorry? Why are you sorry? You tried to warn me. I did not listen. He is your brother. I am sorry you had to deal with this. He laughed, bitter and humorless. You were right about him, and I called you a liar. I accused you of betraying me. I locked you up. I said... He paused, ran his hand through his hair. I said terrible things to you, things that hurt you, and you are apologizing to me. What you said was true. I did have fantasies about you. I did hope. She could not finish. What I said was cruel and unnecessary. I was angry, and I took it out on you. You were right, though. I was stupid to think. You were not stupid. He moved around the desk, sat in the chair next to hers instead of across from her. I lied to you. When I said what you felt did not matter. When I said thinking about you was meaningless. I lied. Her heart stuttered. What? These past 2 weeks, having you come to my office every morning, having a reason to see you, to talk to you. It has been the best part of my days. And that terrified me. Because I do not do this. I do not feel things for staff. I do not let people matter. But you? He paused. You got under my skin. And I did not know how to handle it, except by pushing you away as cruelly as possible. I do not understand. I know, because I have been sending you mixed signals for weeks. He looked at her, and for the first time, his expression was open, vulnerable. I have been a coward, and you deserved better. What are you saying? I am saying that everything I told you 3 days ago was a lie designed to protect myself. I am saying that I have noticed you for months, long before any of this started. I have seen you in the hallways, timing your cleaning to when I would pass. I have seen the way you look at me, and I have wanted to do something about it, but I did not know how. So you accused me of theft? He smiled slightly. No, my brother actually did steal the drive. But when you offered to help investigate, I should have said no. Should have had security handle everything. Instead, I used it as an excuse to see you, to have you in my office every morning, to have a legitimate reason to have you close. That is insane, manipulative, wrong. He nodded. All of those things. But it is the truth. I used the investigation as an excuse to spend time with you because I'm apparently incapable of just asking you to dinner like a normal person. She stared at him, trying to process this. You wanted to ask me to dinner. Among other things. But you are my employee. There are power dynamics. It would be inappropriate in about 100 different ways. And using a theft investigation as an excuse to see me is not inappropriate? It is definitely inappropriate. But at least it was business related. At least I could justify it to myself. You are insane. Probably. He reached out, took her hand. The touch sent electricity up her arm. But I am trying to be honest now. I want you. I have wanted you for months. I have tried to ignore it, to push it away, to convince myself it would pass. It has not passed. If anything, it has gotten worse. Worse how? I think about you constantly. I look for you in hallways. I listen for your voice. I have memorized your schedule, so I know when. You are cleaning near my office. I have become the kind of person who engineers situations just to be near you. It is pathetic. It is not pathetic. It is when you are the boss and she is the employee. When you have all the power and she has none. When wanting her could destroy her life and career. She squeezed his hand. What if she wants you back? Kang Min-jae's eyes met hers, dark and intense. Does she? She has wanted you since week 6. She has built entire fantasies in her head. She has timed her cleaning to catch glimpses of you. She has fallen asleep thinking about you. She has been completely, pathetically in love with you for 4 months and 17 days. Something in his expression cracked. 4 months and 17 days? I might have been counting. That is, he pulled her closer. That is the best thing anyone has ever told me. Then he kissed her. The kiss was nothing like she had imagined. It was softer, more careful. like he had all the time in the world and wanted to memorize every detail. His hand cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. His mouth moved against hers slowly, thoroughly, taking his time. When they finally broke apart, they were both breathing hard. "I have wanted to do that for so long," he said against her mouth. "Me too. 4 months and 17 days. Do not make fun of me. I am not. I think it is." He kissed her again, deeper this time. "Perfect. You are perfect. I am not. You are. You are brave and honest and smart and beautiful, and you have been driving me insane for months." He pulled her into his lap, kissed her neck, her jaw, her mouth again. Like he could not get enough. Like months of restraint had finally broken, and he was making up for lost time. "We should not do this here," she gasped when his mouth found the sensitive spot below her ear. "Why not?" "Because you are my employer. This is your office. Because nothing." He pulled back to look at her. "I do not care about appropriate anymore. I do not care about power dynamics or what people will think. I care about you. Only you. Your associates will adjust, or they will leave. But I am done pretending I do not want you. Done hiding how I feel." "What do you feel?" His hand threaded through her hair, tilted her face up. "I feel like I have been half alive for years, and you woke something in me. I feel like every moment I am not near you is wasted. I feel like..." He paused. "Like I am falling in love with you. I've been falling for months, and I am done fighting it." Tears burned her eyes. "I love you too. I know. 4 months and 17 days, remember?" He smiled, kissed her softly. "You have loved me longer. I am just catching up. You are catching up fast. I have a lot of time to make up for. Months of ignoring you, weeks of being cruel to you, days of making you think I did not care. You were scared. I was a coward. But I am done being a coward." He stood, pulling her, with him. "Come with me." "Where?" "My rooms. I am going to make love to you properly, and I would prefer not to do it in my office where anyone could walk in." Heat flooded her body. "Now? Right now? Unless you want to wait?" "No. No waiting." He smiled, took her hand, and led her out of the office. His private rooms were stunning. Amara had never been in this part of the mansion, but she had fantasized about it. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the grounds, expensive furniture, art on the walls, everything dark and masculine and screaming wealth. But she barely noticed any of it. Her lips were stuck to his, and her hands were busy while he walked her backward toward the bedroom. His hands on her waist, her hips, sliding under her shirt to touch bare skin. "I have imagined this so many times," he said against her mouth. "How you would feel, how you would taste, if you would be soft everywhere, or if there would be hidden strength. And you are exactly how I imagined, better than I imagined." They fell onto his bed together, hands pulling at clothing, mouths exploring, breath coming faster. He took his time, learned every inch of her body, made her gasp and moan and forget her own name. And when he finally slid inside her, when they moved together, it felt like everything she'd been missing, like coming home. After several minutes of raw passion, they lay tangled together, her head on his chest, his fingers tracing patterns on her bare shoulder. "Stay with me," he said quietly. "I am right here. No, I mean, stay with me. Move into these rooms. Be with me. Properly. People will talk. Let them talk. I do not care anymore. Your associates will respect you or leave. But Amara, I am serious. I want you here, with me. I want to wake up next to you. I want to fall asleep holding you. I want everything I have denied myself for months." She turned to look at him. "Are you sure?" This will change everything. I am counting on it. I want everything to change. I want you to change me, to make me better than I have been. I do not know if I can do that. You already have. Just by being you. Just by looking at me like I am worth something beyond my power and money. Like I am human. She kissed him softly. You are human. You are more than what you do. More than your business. More than the person you have to be for your organization. I want to believe that. Then believe it. I see you. The real you. And I love all of it. He pulled her close, held her tight. I do not deserve you. Maybe not. But you have me anyway. They stayed like that for a long time. Two people who had found each other through investigation and accusations and months of unspoken longing. Two people who had almost lost everything before they even had a chance. But they had made it. And now they had all the time in the world to build something real. Amara woke up to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and Kang Min-jae's arm around her waist. This was her life now. Waking up in his bed, in his arms, in his life. She still could not quite believe it was real. You are thinking too loudly, he mumbled against her neck. Sorry. What are you thinking about? How 6 months ago I was cleaning hallways and fantasizing about you noticing me, and now I wake up next to you every morning. Best decision I ever made. Which decision? Accusing me of theft? He laughed, pulled her closer. No, although that did work out well. I meant deciding to stop fighting what I felt for you. Deciding you were worth more than my pride or my fears. Do you ever regret it? Going public with us? Dealing with all the questions from your friends and business partners? Never. Not once. It had not been easy. There had been challenges. People questioned his judgment, and rivals tried to use her as leverage. These were complications neither of them had anticipated. But he had dealt with each one and made it clear she was not a weakness, but a strength, that anyone who could not respect that could leave. Most had stayed. A few had not. But his organization was stronger now. What about you? He asked. Do you regret giving up your fantasies for reality? Reality is better than fantasies. Even when I am grumpy in the mornings? Especially then. Fantasy you was too perfect. Real you is better. He rolled over, pinned her beneath him. Real me wants to make love to you before breakfast. Fantasy me wants that too. They made love slowly, thoroughly, taking their time because they could, because they had all the time in the world now. After, lying tangled together again, Amara traced patterns on his chest. Can I tell you something? She asked. Always. 4 months and 17 days is not accurate. He propped himself up on his elbow, looked down at her. What? I started counting from when I admitted to myself I loved you. But I think I actually started falling for you earlier than that. Maybe week 3, when you walked past me in the hallway, and your cologne made me dizzy, and I had to lean against the wall to remember how to breathe. Week 3. I am pathetic, I know. You are perfect. And if we are confessing, I noticed you in week 4. You did. You were cleaning the hallway. You had no idea I was behind you, and you were humming. Something soft and sweet. And I stood there for probably 30 seconds, just listening before I made myself walk past. I did not see you. I know. That is why I could stand there like an idiot, listening to my maid hum while she worked and thinking about how much I wanted to know what you were humming. It was a song my mother used to sing, about coming home. Fitting. Why? Because that is what you are. Home. The place I always want to come back to. She kissed him, slow and deep. I love you. I love you too, even though you talk too much sometimes. I do not talk too much. You're talking right now when you could be kissing me. That is a fair point. So she stopped talking and kissed him instead. And in the morning light, in his bed, in his arms, Amara knew she was exactly where she was supposed to be. 4 months and 17 days had been worth the wait. If you love this story, tell us your thoughts in the comments. Would you help investigate the man who accused you of theft just to get closer to him? What was your favorite moment in this story? Subscribe to Afro-Korean World TV for more intense forbidden romance where obsession becomes reality and interrogations turn into seduction. We are family here, and I appreciate every single one of you. See you in the next story.